and I didn't even put this in the format, but then you said WWE Unreal. You said you watched some of it, and including the first episode, and I said, did you see the bit with Abyss, Chris Park, agenting a match with Bruce Pritchard looming over him the
Yep.
entire time? And you said, yes, you did. And I'm so happy you did, because that was sort of like the standout bit of that show for me. Right. Talk about, I guess, there's a couple of things to talk about. Three things to say. One, Chris Park, or Abyss. Two, Bruce Pritchard, and how terrified people are of him in WWE. And three, a third thing that I forgot. But let's talk. Oh, and how hard it is to be an agent as well. So let's talk about Chris Park, Abyss, and the difficulty being an agent, especially for someone like him who is a perfectionist. You said before we started.
Yeah, I met him. I'll tell a little story about him. I met him on it was an independent show in Illinois, I think. And I was going to Puerto Rico, and I needed a big heel who could kind of work. And he was still really green then. And I talked to him, hey, you want to come? I'm going to Puerto Rico. I'd like to book you, blah, blah, blah. He said, no, I'm going to TNA. He said, okay. He said, they're going to use me really good. I said, okay, good. Well, when you get done, call me. He said, okay. So the week I told him when I was going, and the week I went down there was the next week. I got a call from Abyss in 2 weeks. He said, hey, man, remember me? I said, yeah, Chris Park. That's when he was Chris Park. I said, yeah. I'd like to come to Puerto Rico. I said, wait a minute. You just told me you were going down there and they were going to use you good. He said, well, yeah, I thought so too. But he says, I wasn't even booked on the second show. I said, oh, well, I hate to hear that. And he went, yeah, well, you got room for me? And I swear to God, I shouldn't have done this, but I says, damn, I wish you'd have called me 30 minutes earlier. Why? What, man? What? I says, man, I just booked a guy for that spot. Oh no, man. Can you cancel him? I said, well, no, not now.
Hmm.
I can't call him up. Can I just booked him? He said, oh man, almost like on the verge of tears. I said, well, look, listen, I wanted to give him a little hope. And I'm kidding him anyway. I wanted to book him. But I says, call me next week and I'll let you know. Well, not only did he call me next week, he called me the next day, and then the next day, and then the next day. And finally, I let it go. Actually, the humor had left it about 2 days earlier. I just didn't want to give up that soon. And I said, okay, listen, I'm going to bring you in. Oh, really? And now he's really excited. He went from 0 to like 100 in about 2 seconds. He's excited. And then I got to the part I told him, listen, what gimmick are you doing now? What name you going under? He said, Chris Parks. And he gave me some kind of American something.
Yeah, he was
well,
Big Justice or something like that, I think.
Prince Justice.
Prince Justice,
exactly
that's
what
it, yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
I says, I don't like that Prince Justice. Why not, man? I've been using it for 3 years. I said, Prince Justice, it doesn't really, I got another name for you. And he says, well, what is it? I don't even know where I got this name, but I says, I'm going to call you Abyss. On his end, silence. I bet he's like this. He's going, what? I said, Abyss. What is that? I said, I don't know. But that's what we're going to figure out when you get down here. I want you to wear a mask, and I don't want you to wear a full mask. I want you to wear just to cover your face. And he took that gimmick and he got it over in Puerto Rico. But when I was hearing him watching the show saying, I'm sorry, He did the same thing in Puerto Rico. You couldn't talk to him sometimes. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You know, if somebody was late, he would apologize for them. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I said, why are you apologizing for him? That was a true abyss emotion right there. So you can imagine, you know, and you saw it, Bruce Pritchard there, and he's saying, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It was, they must have known him a lot more than, I mean, they figured him out. He's been there. How long has he been there? 3 years now?
Yeah, a few years now, yeah. He's in the game as well for the first time.
And I'm sure that if he's the agent of a match, I'm sure that match is agented right. Because I would used to give him the finishers for his matches in Puerto Rico, and he'd work on them for 2 days before we'd get there. So when he got there, and he would give it back to me, and I would say, take this out, and I wouldn't do that, or let's put this in. Oh yeah, you're right. And he would have it. So me watching that and him apologizing, he must have done it up there quite a few times too. But I think he has a love for this business that a lot of guys don't have. But he loves the business and wants to make it the best that what he can possibly make it. And they have a good agent in Abyss.
How hard is it to be an agent? Because as far as I can tell, if you do your job right, you get no thanks whatsoever. If you do your job wrong, or if the wrestlers do something wrong, it's the agent's fault. If the wrestlers do something right, it's probably the wrestlers, you know,
who deserve the praise. The agent gets he gets no credit at all. It's the talent that gets it all. If it's good, if it's bad, you know, the agent gets he takes the blame. Because the agent going up there, well, I told him not to do that. Then all the talent has to do is say, he approved everything. See, so you're caught between a rock and a hard place there. But I like the way Tony Gurria used to do it. It was me and the Blue Brothers, you know, Don and Ron. We had a match at some pay-per-view. And it was an 8-minute match with a simple finish. So I sat down and was listening to what they wanted to do. You know how long it took to put an 8-minute match together? Almost 3 hours. 3 hours. Finally, I got I'm just frustrated with them. I said, excuse the language. I went, God damn, guys, shit, it's an 8-minute match. My God. Let's just go out there, just do the formula. Make the baby faces, shine them up a little bit, then stop them, get a couple of minutes of heat, tag, boom, de boom, de boom, bam, let's go. It's got three elements in it, and just follow those elements. And finally, you know, and Tony Gurria had absolutely nothing to do with it. And so when he came back in and he said, all right, run the finish by me. And they went, well, we do this and this and this and this and this. And then the finish. Up, good. Okay. You know how much he had to do with it?
Nothing.
0. So I'm sitting in there, and now that it was a lesson to me that let the guys do it, and then you come in and fix it, and then you go. But the big drawback on that was it was Lex Luger and one of the Hart clan.
No, it was the Bulldog. Yeah, it was the Bulldog.
Davey Boy.
Yeah.
But it was Lex. Lex was all of it. And I'd give it to Lex, and Lex would say, I don't see Lex doing that. Finally, I told him, boy, I'll tell you what. Lex might not do it, but what about your character you're playing? Would he do it? He said, oh, no, he wouldn't do it. I said, well, you're going to do it tonight. Let's go. We've been here 3 hours, guys, and we still don't have it. So we're going to do it. You like it now? He said, oh, yeah, well, I'll do it. That's all it took. Let's do the finish. But some of those guys get stuck on one little bitty thing because they think in their head that it's going to make them look bad, so they don't want to do it.
Can we discuss Bruce Pritchard? Because he came across as such a tool on that episode. I mean, he's talking about, oh, people think just because we're on Netflix, we don't have like a hard out for TV time. It's like Netflix episodes are different time every single week, so obviously there isn't a hard out for starters.
But then there isn't.
But then he's hanging over Abyss the entire time as Abyss is desperately apologising to him, saying, I'm trying to get them moving. He's talking to CM Punk and Seth Rollins. In fact, it's the first WWE Raw on Netflix debut thing, and that was the main event. And Abyss is doing everything he can to speed them up. Take out this, tell him to get going, referee, pick up CM Punk's arm and raise it, so da-da-da-da-da. I think there's nothing else Abyss can do. And Bruce is staring daggers at Abyss, right? And then afterwards, there's, shaking hands and Abyss is apologising. And Bruce just goes, well, you messed up the finish and you didn't do your job properly, but it's fine. It's fine. And then just walks off.
You didn't pick up on that? Bruce is ribbing him the whole time because he knew how he would react. He'd stand there and Abyss is feeling him over his shoulder. And, oh my God, I'm sorry. He's playing with him. That's what he was doing. And it worked.
Yeah, but isn't the job just hard enough? I mean, you're on millions of people broadcasting.
It's for TV. And Bruce, that's an inside joke. Everybody that saw that knew that, and they knew how Abyss would react. And I bet you, if you'd done a blood pressure check on Abyss, it'd be 170 over 110. Oh my God. So, and I guarantee you, Bruce went off and laughed like there was no tomorrow, like that was the greatest rib ever. And he did it on TV.
I know Paul Regal turned up and, just put Chris Park's mind at ease afterwards. But, just apologising profusely, constantly, just terrified that he's done something wrong.
But that was a shoot. That's exactly the way he acts. And Bruce standing there and looking at him was a reaction at him. How many times did he look at Bruce during that?
1 million.
See, he's trying to read his face. And I wish they hadn't have done him that, but that's what he's going to be remembered for. But anyway, he is a really good agent. And if you're not a good agent, Bruce would kick you out the door. You got to be a good agent. Abyss knows what he's doing. That was a rib, and he knows it now. I'm sure. I hope he does. And probably Bruce come up to him and said, "Oh, brother, that's just for TV. That's great." But that's the part you remember, right? Mm-hmm. So you got him at a vulnerable time, and that's the way he is, and it came off great.